Welcome to Doc Pro, and your daily podcast for learning real English in a simple and fun way. Let's start speaking English with confidence.
Welcome back to the channel where learning English is not a struggle, but a transformation. This is the place where you don't just study English. You start thinking in it, living in it, and speaking it with confidence. I'm Ryan, and today's episode is going to change the way you see your English journey forever, Have you ever felt like you've been learning English for years, but when it's time to speak, your mind just goes blank? You understand a lot. You know grammar rules, you've memorized vocabulary. But when someone asks you a simple question, you hesitate, you translate in your head, and suddenly, everything feels difficult. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't start with grammar books. You didn't memorize long word lists. You listened, you repeated, you made mistakes, and slowly, you improved. English works the same way. A skill requires practice, not perfection, so what should you do instead? Speak every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Talk to yourself, describe your day. Share your thoughts out loud. It may feel strange at first, but this is how your brain starts building direct connections in English, also. Stop being afraid of mistakes, Confidence doesn't come before speaking. Confidence comes because of speaking, The truth is, the problem is not your intelligence, and it's not your memory. The real problem is the method you've been using all this time. And that's the biggest shift you need to make. If you keep learning English like a subject, you will always feel stuck. But if you start treating it like a skill, everything changes, You need to train your brain to think in English, not translate. Because translation is slow, and speaking needs speed when you translate. You are building sentences twice, first in your own language, then in English. That's why you feel stuck and nervous, Another powerful technique is imitation. Listen to native speakers and copy their tone, rhythm, and expressions. Don't just understand, repeat. This is how you develop natural flow. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are proof that you are trying. Every fluent speaker you admire today made thousands of mistakes before becoming confident. And one more thing, don't wait for the perfect moment to start. There is no perfect time. The more you wait, the more fear grows. The moment you start speaking, even imperfectly, you begin improving, Fluency is not about knowing more. It's about using what you already know, faster, more naturally. And without fear, start simple. But stay consistent. Most learners are taught to focus on perfection. Perfect grammar, perfect sentences, perfect pronunciation, but real communication doesn't work like that. When people speak naturally, they don't think about grammar rules. They don't stop to translate. They just express ideas. And that's the biggest shift you need to make. Fluency is not about knowing more. It's about using what you already know, faster, more naturally, and without fear. Think about how you learned your first language. You didn't start with grammar books. You didn't memorize long word lists. You listened, you repeated, you made mistakes, and slowly, you improved. English works the same way. If you keep learning English like a subject, you will always feel stuck. But if you start treating it like a skill, everything changes. A skill requires practice, not perfection. You need to train your brain to think in English, not translate. Because translation is slow and speaking needs speed. When you translate, you are building sentences twice, first in your own language, then in English. That's why you feel stuck and nervous. So what should you do instead? Start simple, but stay consistent. Speak every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Talk to yourself. Describe your day. Share your thoughts out loud. It may feel strange at first, but this is how your brain starts building direct connections in English. Another powerful technique is imitation. Listen to native speakers and copy their tone, rhythm, and expressions. Don't just understand, repeat. This is how you develop natural flow. Also, stop being afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are proof that you are trying. Every fluent speaker you admire today made thousands of mistakes before becoming confident. Confidence doesn't come before speaking. Confidence comes because of speaking. And one more thing, don't wait for the perfect moment to start. There is no perfect time. The more you wait, the more fear grows. The moment you start speaking, even imperfectly, you begin improving. Fluency is not a destination you reach overnight. It's a process you build every single day. So instead of asking, "Why am I not fluent yet?" start asking, "Am I practicing the right way?" Because once your method changes, your results will follow. Remember this, you don't need more time, you need the right approach. And if you stay consistent, if you keep speaking, if you stop fearing mistakes, one day you will realize something powerful. You're no longer translating. You're no longer hesitating. You're simply speaking. Let me ask you something. How long have you been learning English? 1 year? 5 years? Maybe even more. And yet, when it comes to speaking, you still hesitate. You still feel nervous. You still translate in your head. And sometimes, you even avoid speaking completely. If this sounds like you, then this episode is exactly what you need. Because today, we're not just going to talk about the problem. We're going to uncover the real reason behind it, and more importantly, what actually works. The biggest mistake most learners make is treating English like a subject instead of a skill. You study grammar rules. You memorize vocabulary lists. You read books and watch videos. And yes, all of that feels like progress. But here's the reality. Understanding English is not the same as speaking English. You can understand everything and still not be able to speak. Why? Because speaking is a performance skill. Just like driving a car, playing a sport, or learning to swim. You cannot master it just by watching or reading. You have to do it. Another major problem is overthinking. When you try to speak, your brain starts asking too many questions. Is this sentence correct? Is my grammar right? Am I using the right tense? And in that moment, you freeze. Because your brain is busy checking rules instead of expressing ideas. Fluent speakers don't speak perfectly. They speak naturally. And natural speaking comes from practice, not perfection. Let's talk about translation. This is one of the biggest hidden barriers. Most learners first think in their own language, then translate into English, and then speak. This process is slow, tiring, and stressful. And that's why your speech feels stuck. Because your brain is doing double work. The goal is simple. Stop translating. Start thinking in English. Now, this might sound difficult, but it's actually trainable. Start with small things. When you see something, name it in English. When you think about your day, think in English. When you feel something, try to express it in English, even if it's simple. At first, it will feel uncomfortable, but slowly, your brain will adapt. Now let's talk about fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of being judged. Fear of sounding wrong. This fear is more dangerous than lack of vocabulary, because fear stops you from trying. And without trying, there is no improvement. You need to understand one thing very clearly. Mistakes are not your enemy. Silence is. Every mistake you make is a step forward. Every time you speak, you improve a little. And every time you stay silent, you stay the same. Another important shift is consistency. Many learners practice English only when they feel motivated. But motivation is not reliable. Some days you feel excited. Some days you don't. That's normal. But progress doesn't come from motivation. It comes from discipline. Even if you practice just 10 to 15 minutes every day, you will improve more than someone who studies for hours once a week. Because consistency builds habit, and habit builds fluency. Let's talk about a powerful method, speaking to yourself. Yes, it might sound strange, but it works. When you speak to yourself, there is no pressure, no fear of judgment, no hesitation. You can take your time, correct yourself, and improve. Describe your day. Talk about your plans. Explain what you're doing. This simple practice can completely change your confidence level. Another powerful technique is imitation. Choose a speaker you like. Listen carefully, and then repeat exactly how they speak. Focus on their tone, their rhythm, their expressions. This is how you develop natural speaking style. Not by memorizing, but by absorbing. Also, stop waiting for the perfect level. Many learners say, "I will start speaking when my English improves." But that's not how it works. Your English improves because you start speaking, not before. Fluency is not something you prepare for. It's something you build through action. Now imagine this. You wake up one day, and you realize something has changed. You're not translating anymore. You're not overthinking anymore. You're just speaking. Naturally. Smoothly. Confidently. That moment doesn't come suddenly. It comes from small efforts, repeated daily. So if you truly want to become fluent, stop focusing on perfection. Start focusing on practice. Stop being afraid of mistakes. Start learning from them. Stop waiting for the right time. Start now. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. And the moment you start, everything begins to change. Most English learners believe that the reason they can't speak fluently is simple. They don't know enough words. So they keep memorizing vocabulary. New words every day. Long lists. Difficult meanings. And for a moment, it feels like progress. But when it's time to speak, nothing comes out. The same hesitation. The same pauses. The same struggle. And that leads to frustration. Because deep down, you start thinking, I know so many words. So why can't I speak? Here's the truth that most people don't realize. Fluency is not about how many words you know. It's about how easily you can use the words you already know. Think about it. In your daily life, you don't use thousands of words. You use a small set of common words, again and again. Fluent speakers are not using advanced vocabulary all the time. They are using simple words, but using them smoothly, confidently, and without thinking. That's the difference. The real problem is not lack of vocabulary. The real problem is lack of speaking habits. You are learning, but you are not using. You are consuming, but not producing. And language is not built through input alone. It is built through output. Let's understand this in a simple way. Imagine you join a gym. You watch workout videos every day. You learn about exercises. You understand how muscles work, but you never actually lift weights. Will your body change? No, because knowledge without action creates no result. English works exactly the same way. If you want to improve your speaking, you don't need more information. You need more repetition. Repetition builds comfort. Comfort builds confidence. Confidence builds fluency. So what should you do? Start building daily speaking habits. Not once in a while. Not only when you feel ready. Every single day. Even if it's just 10 minutes. Because small daily actions create big long-term results. One of the most powerful habits is thinking out loud. Instead of keeping your thoughts in your mind, speak them. Turn your thoughts into sentences, even simple ones. I am feeling tired today. I have a lot of work to do. I want to improve my English. These may sound basic, but this is where fluency begins. Another important habit is repetition with variation. Don't just say one sentence once. Say it in different ways. I am tired. I feel tired. I'm a little tired today. This trains your brain to stay flexible. And flexibility leads to natural speaking. Also, start using English in your real life. Don't keep it limited to books and videos. Use it while texting. Use it while thinking. Use it while speaking to yourself. Make English a part of your daily routine, not a separate subject. One more powerful shift. Stop chasing difficult words. Start mastering simple words. Because communication is not about impressing people. It's about expressing ideas clearly. Simple English spoken confidently is always more powerful than complicated English spoken with hesitation. Now let's talk about consistency again, because this is where most people fail. They start with energy. They practice for a few days. Then they stop. And every time you stop, you go back to the beginning. Fluency requires continuity. Even slow progress is fine, as long as it is continuous. Imagine practicing speaking every day for the next 30 days. Not perfectly. Not for hours. Just consistently. Do you think you will improve? Of course you will. Because progress is not about intensity. It's about consistency. Now picture this moment. You are speaking English. And for the first time, it feels easy. No pressure. No overthinking. Just flow. That moment doesn't come from learning more words. It comes from using the words you already know, again and again, until they become natural. So from today, change your focus. Don't ask, how many words do I know? Ask, how often do I speak? Because that one question, can completely change your journey. This is Ryan. And remember, fluency is not built by collecting words. It is built by creating habits. I'll see you in the next episode.